Again, my name is Henry Lindeman. We are with Collier Insurance out of little old Memphis, Tennessee. We've got a pretty good group here. A big part of our team up here, sitting up here, and the rest of our team sitting down here. Davidson Hotels and Resorts is, in my opinion, one of the best case studies for all of the stuff that they just discussed and all of the questions that we had. In fact, when we put together our team to put this program in place, we used every single vendor that sat at this table. So one of the most important things that you can do when putting this together is finding the right partners that play in the same sandbox and talk well and communicate. And obviously those four people do that very well. So right on the heels of their expertise, we'll show you some results of really what their work has done and our work has done for Davidson Hotels and Resorts. Barry Wobbler, who's sitting right here, is the CFO, Chief Financial Officer of Davidson Hotels and Resorts. I think it's important to not just hear from the experts and the partners that we have, but from an employer perspective, why is somebody willing to take this step, risk the extra noise that goes with that step, and really put themselves out there a little bit. What we've been able to tap into when we're selling these programs to employers is really that element of control, and the fact that employers in a BUCA PPO world really feel like they're out of control and they can't predict what's coming. And for the employers in the room, I know that you've felt this before. So when we're reaching out to employers and prospective employers, it's this innovative approach that puts them back in the driver's seat where they've felt in the past that they really didn't have control. They just kind of waited until renewal time and crossed their fingers and hoped for the best. Well, this changes the dynamic and puts them back in control. Do you want to speak a little bit just to sort of your history?
Sure. Thanks. Yeah, and I was not rolling lucky sevens at renewal time each year. So but I just want to give you a little background on Davidson. So we're a national hotel management organization with hotels across America. And our job is to create value for hotel owners in line with their investment goals, and also hire best-in-class team members to operate our hotels. In addition to being the CFO, again, with the responsibility to track that investment progress as well as our team member composition, I've also was appointed the trustee of our employee health care trust. And that's where I understood that in addition to being a steward as a CFO, I'm a fiduciary as a trustee. And so I started digging in, and I wanted more information. What's new about that, right? Most CFOs want more information. And I really started tracking claims costs on a month-to-month basis and making inquiries that perhaps our organization had not made before in the past. And tell me more about claims. Tell me more about the trends. And that's where I started engaging with a former broker and said, well, we have a situation in California we need to talk to you about. And I said, okay, well, talk to me about that. And well, part of the reason that claims costs are going up is that there's a particular plastic surgery group out there in California where you have 5 or 7 growing claims with them. I said, well, how could that be? And they said, well, I don't know, we'll look more into it. But the claims were approved, they were paid. But at the end of the day, there was some fraud involved in that. And so then I found myself spending more and more time kind of looking back at the claims we'd already paid for, as opposed to looking forward as to how we were going to strategically change the course we were on with increasing claims costs and a feeling that I just wasn't plugged in as both a steward and a fiduciary to what I really wanted to understand. It brings me back, I guess, to this notion of the renewal. As you can imagine, there's no shortage of brokers who want to call and speak to me. And it seems like I hear a lot about how long they've been doing this or how many clients they have in the hospitality industry. I'm not sure I'm as interested in how long somebody's been doing something as how impactful they have been in the short amount of time that they have been doing something. And so when I got a call from Collier Insurance. Frankly, it was a Friday around 5 o'clock, and I'm not quite sure how the call got through. But
Trade secrets.
there was someone on the other end, and he's here, and it was Fred Van. He said, Mr. Wilder, how would you like to save several $1 million a year on your group health insurance plan? And, you know, I'd been praying for some innovation or somebody to come to me with somebody, because increasingly felt like I was more and more cornered in this box at renewal time. You know, after page 1 of you know, the title of our company and the matched logos between the broker and the employer, you'd go to page 2, and that would list all of the markets that the broker had gone to. And increasingly, I saw not quoted, not quoted, not quoted, not quoted, and I guess I was supposed to be impressed by the fact that there were 20 companies listed on that sheet of paper, and you know, 15 didn't want to quote us. But what I would have rather seen was, you know, what about the 5 that do want to play ball with us, and what are some innovative concepts that they can bring me to go deeper in our relationship? And so as things worked out, I had that follow-up call with Collier, not that Friday, but I said, hey, send me some information, because frankly, if someone wants to call me with an innovative thought, I'm all ears.
Okay, thanks. So that was what, Fred, August of 16-ish, July of 16, when all those conversations happened? So let's show you what 17 looks like a little bit. So what you can see here as you look at the screen, this is medical and prescription claims, just paid claims for Davidson Hotels and Resorts in 2015, 17 million up to 18.6. We projected what it would have been in 17, and it's 20 million. And you can see what we actually paid in the red line there. So we actually dropped down to 12.5. So tremendous, game-changing financial results. There was a little bit of a drop in frequency of claims, so utilization was down a little bit, but the driving factor there, as you look at the percentage of changes in the spend, you can see a 40% reduction in medical claim cost. The per member per month numbers are just off the charts better than where they were before. On a per visit perspective, 41% lower spend for an emergency room visit. That's incredible. The frequency of emergency room visits was down a little bit, but the per spend is really, really meaningful. Inpatient admissions, you can see a 34% reduction, imaging claims. So across the board on the medical side, it's a huge win for Davidson Hotels and Resorts. But, and there's always a but, there's a balance here, and they talked a lot about it, the panel did. Saving money is great, and we love to save money, right? But if we're doing that at the expense of our team members, which is what Davidson calls their employees, then we're really defeating the purpose. So we build a health plan to recruit and retain employees, right? For our workforce and manage our workforce. If we just want to cram it down and save every penny, we're not going to have that access to care that the employees need. And it's bumpy. Go in with your eyes open. If you've not been down this road, don't think that it's all candy canes and lollipops and 40% savings reductions. Ryan's team does a great job of dealing with 90% of the pushback, the appeals and the claims and the things like that. They are an excellent, excellent provider and a good vendor partner of ours. I'll tell you, in our shop, we have a staff that has grown up with reference-based pricing, and we get those calls, and those are hard calls to field. There are tears, there are upset people when they can't go to the doctor that their uncle, who says he's a doctor and says, you have to go to this hospital, it's the only hospital in town that you've got to go to, and we're trying to redirect them somewhere else. Those are extremely difficult conversations to have. The world was much easier for a broker in a PPO world. The world in reference-based pricing is constantly changing and constantly evolving, and it takes an awful lot of time for the employer, for our staff, for Davidson's staff to manage those relationships with those employees. So I don't want to be a wet blanket because I think it's an absolute game changer for an employer trying to manage healthcare costs. But go in with your eyes open. It can be painful at times, and you have to help hold their hands, assemble the right experts, which we've done, and use them when you need to, and just go in with your eyes open. So there are a couple other things I wanted just to touch on real quick.
You know, Henry mentioned that,
Oh, yeah.
you know, it's an awful lot of time that we spend on this, but there's the right things to spend time on. You know, we're a hotel management organization and we manage bricks and mortar, but we engage with people and through our team members. So there really isn't a better place for us to spend our time if you really think about it. And it's really all about the process that's set up. And so you saw some of the partners that are involved, and it's how do you leverage those resources and how do you leverage those skills through Collier that has really over this first year, I think we've all found a nice place in terms of the level of effort and how we're involved.
Thanks for that. I appreciate that. We talked earlier, the last group talked about physicians. Far and away, that is the bumpiest part of the relationship that we see. For this case study, we do have that PHCS physician-only network in place. And that is successful a lot of places, but it's also not successful a lot of places. So they asked, as part of this presentation, to talk about what our team has done to assist with members. One of the best examples, in my opinion, is we've added somebody to our staff. She is a provider relations consultant, and her job for all of the members for Davidson hotels across the country is to field phone calls about doctor issues. She is on the phone constantly talking with physicians across the country, explaining, okay, here's what the process works like, moving past Bobby Sue, who's at the front desk, who's looking for the logo on the card, and that's all Bobby Sue cares about, getting past Bobby Sue up to somebody who knows what they're talking about, educating that provider almost more than educating the member, but having all those people have the same conversation so that when that member goes to that doctor's office going forward, they understand, okay, we're going to get 120% of Medicare. That's typically a little north of what Blue Cross was going to pay us anyway. We're happy, we understand it, and that education process is critical. So the doctor side is something that we've seen a bunch of pushback with. The financial results, though, primarily are driven on the facility side, which you can see what those results were. 15 minutes is tough to describe something with all these moving parts, but I'm just going to kind of leave it there unless there's something else.
I'd like to just make it 16 minutes and just that. First of all, I want to thank Corey who mentioned, hey,
Yeah.
you know, let's do the right thing. And smoke and mirrors is not doing the right thing. And so coming in with, hey, let's adjust the co-pays, let's adjust deductibles. Aren't you happy about your discount? Well, where I come from, a discount on an infinite number is still an infinite number. And so I'm very thankful that we were approached with this innovation. We intend to just continue to try to make it better. And at the end of the day, it's for our team members and for our owners. Thanks.
Perfect. Thanks, Barry.
Thanks.